Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we will be going over a 1 week workout routine that you can do to add muscle mass and size to your physique. Gonna start things off with our chest and back day. We're gonna hit the dumbbell bench press to target our chest, really focusing on the stretch when using the dumbbells. Always make sure to go slow and with control through any and every movement that you are doing, because it is important to build that muscle mind connection and to make sure that we are doing that exercise properly. After doing 5 sets of the dumbbell bench press, we are moving on to wide grip assisted dips. I am using the assistants just to make sure that I can actually hit those reps that we are going to be using in today's video. We are hitting with a rep range of 6 to 12 reps, and I like to start things off with the lighter weight, hitting the 12 reps for 2 sets before moving on to the lower weights, which will be, or the lower reps, which will be the 8 and the 6 rep range. And after doing the wide grip dips, we are moving on to the Peck Deck, an exercise I haven't done in a while, and I feel like it's a great movement, really good at isolating the chest. And after doing the Peck Deck, we are moving on to one of my all-time favorites, a dumbbell pull over. This movement is so good for developing strength in the chest, and it also uses your lats, so it's a great upper body movement. You can even kind of see in the video that my triceps are a bit popping. You're also getting some shoulder mobility involvement when doing this specific movement, and I love the way that my pecs, they always bounce when I use the dumbbell pullovers, and that is why I decided to add it. I usually add it at the end of my chest portion, kind of warming things up for my back before we move into just targeting the back hard with some wide grip lat pull downs. And this specific exercise, we're gonna hit 5 sets of these, again starting with the lighter range and then moving on to the heavier range. I really like the mixture of the rep ranges just to keep things a bit more interesting. It's a bit of hypertrophy, a little bit of strength, a good variety, and it's all just the same to shock the muscle and really stimulate muscle growth in different manners as we are training. After doing the wide grip lat pull downs, we are moving into another movement for the back, closed grip cable rows. I'm doing them standing just to target the back differently. Each stance that you choose, whether it be seated or standing, or even if it's slightly more above you, it's gonna hit your back differently. So I always like to mix it up. And after doing the closed grip seated rows, we are doing a 1-arm dumbbell row, and I love the way that this is set up specifically. Sometimes I put my knee on the bench, and sometimes I use this variation where I'm standing, because I get a really good stretch in my upper back, but I also feel tension in my lower back. So it's a really good variety, really good way to mix things up when you are doing these movements. And that completes the back portion of the workout. Now we're moving on to our arms and the shoulders, building some big boulder shoulders with some standing dumbbell shoulder presses. Great way to start off, and then moving on into the behind the neck presses. This is a movement that may be a bit tricky because of whether or not you have good shoulder mobility, because it can be overly fatiguing for some people. So making sure that you have proper form when doing that exercise is really key. And if you don't feel comfortable doing it behind your neck, you can always do it in front. And after doing those, we moved on to some dumbbell rear delt flies for the rear delts, really important for developing the round cap shoulders. And now we're moving on to the biceps with a staple exercise, the dumbbell preacher curl. Great for targeting the biceps, really good at emphasizing the stretch, simply because of the way that the exercise is performed with the bench. The angle really allows you to get in a good long deep stretch, and with any movement we want to make sure that we are going slow and with control, focusing on the squeeze when it is time to squeeze, and focusing on letting go of the squeeze all the way before contracting it. After doing the dumbbell preacher curls, we are moving on to the dumbbell Zottman curl. This is a very intense exercise because you are doing a dumbbell curl and then into a reverse curl, and those two movements back to back done with like 10 repetitions, your biceps, your arms are going to be on fire. It hits so much of your arms, the biceps, the brachialis, the forearm. It's great for developing strength in all of these regions, and adding it within your regime will add some serious mass. And after doing that movement, we're gonna target the brachialis and the forearms just a bit more with some reverse curls using an easy bar. On the preacher bench, I am using the lightest weight because at this point I could barely lift anything. My arms were so pumped. And after doing the easy bar the reverse preacher curls, we're moving on to the triceps. Gonna be doing 3 exercises for the triceps, and the first exercise will be the tricep cable push down. I found a metal bar that allowed me to get in a good stretch. I kind of had to mess around with it because I'm really picky on how I want my muscles to stretch. I really focus on the feeling and the sensation because you really want that stimulation in the muscle so that it can actually grow. After doing the cable tricep push downs, we're moving on to one of my recently added exercises into my regime, which is the cross body tricep extension. I feel like the angle again that it hits just really gets in a good stretch. Then finishing off our triceps with a dumbbell French press. Love this movement in general. I feel like it's easy to get in a dead hang with the dumbbell just to really get in that good stretch. And that concludes our arm day, and now we're moving on to our leg day with some elevated heel squats. We're using a Smith machine, and the Smith machine actually felt a little wonky. I'm not really sure why it felt so strange for me, but that's something I had to recognize. I had to focus a bit more on my form when doing it on the Smith machine, because that specific Smith machine, it moves vertically and horizontally, and it felt a little off. But I think the elevated heel was even adding more to the difficulty, so it was really challenging my stability in that movement. And after doing that, we're moving on to seated leg curls. We're going to do 6 sets of the seated leg curls just because it's the only exercise we're doing for the hamstrings, and then finishing off our leg day with some leg extensions. And that concludes our video for today. Make sure to hit the like button and subscribe for more workouts like this in the future. And as always, stay tuned and thank you for watching.